welcome back to Seated Sports. Today we have with us Lokmanyu Chaturvedi, one of India's top esports athletes. Thank you, Lokmanyu, for joining us today.
Akshata, thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I've seen a lot of your podcasts, a lot of videos, and it's finally a pleasure to come on board and talk about esports and football.
And you're also a United supporter, so this podcast might end in a fight also. Let's see how that pans out. But before we talk further ahead, Lokmanyu, can you help us understand what exactly are esports and what kind of games fall into that category of esports?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a clear definition between gaming and esports now. People now they're becoming aware of it. So esports, any video game that you play competitively is esports. Now, obviously that's one definition of it, but that doesn't mean if you play games like Candy Crush or anything of that sorts, right, with your friends and you put $100 to $100 on it, that doesn't mean that that becomes an esport. Esport titles usually involve a proper tournament where sponsors are involved, esports teams are involved, professional players are involved. And that's how an ecosystem is created, just how it is in sports. It's the similar example when you are just pooling in like $500 to play a gully cricket tournament. And when you put that in perspective with, say, an IPL tournament, even Ranji Trophy for that matter, right? So I think that's the best way to put out how a professional esports tournament happens compared to what just a casual tournament would happen. And of course, gaming is a separate thing altogether, which is something that you do casually. We're all gamers, but when you play professionally, it becomes esports.
It's not really still common in India for people to hear that somebody is an esport athlete. So, how did you come into this industry?
I mean, I was just finishing my college. I believe I always wanted to become a professional footballer for that matter. But I saw that it's very difficult to become that with a lot of different reasons. I mean, a lot of people relate my age, injuries, or whatever, you didn't find an opportunity, etc., etc. But then, yeah, I think I just used to love playing FIFA. Now it's called FC. So I used to love playing FIFA. I think a lot of people have played FIFA as a kid, and I used to do that. I used to play with the computer and I used to just have fun. I used to skip school. Not that I'm saying if anyone's watching that skip school for this, but just saying that I used to love playing it. And my friends saw that I'm decent and they used to say, okay, why don't you go and play these local tournaments? And when I saw that there's some local tournaments happening, because I'm from Delhi, I could go to these local tournaments weekend to weekend. I actually saw that I have potential, and this one online tournament happened, and that guy was at the time one of the best, I think the actually best online player at the time, and I beat him. So everyone was surprised as to who this guy is, and I was just 19 at the time. So I think, yeah, I mean, that's when I started playing all these local tournaments, and then eventually in 2021 the major breakthrough happened when the official national team for FIFA was announced, and yeah, that's what became a part of it, and ever since.
I have younger nephews and nieces, and if I tell their parents that this is something that's happening, and if they are playing any games, just encourage them to play, they'll just look at me that what is she talking about? And that is still the common perception. So, what is exactly the scene like in India? If you can explain that.
Yeah, I think in India, it's now the best part. What I would want to start off is that when you look at football in India, we love football, right? We're all fans of all these big clubs from the Premier League, from the Spanish League, everywhere basically. But what we don't understand is that when you're looking at football from the viewer's perspective, you don't see how it's growing in India, right? It's a slow growth, but it is growing, right? For us, fortunately, because it's a video game after all, when you put that into competitive perspective, we were all at the same level playing field with the talent that we have. And last year, India finished sixth in the world in the overall FIFA rankings, which is insane, right? For football to get to that level, I really hope that we do soon, but it's going to take a while. So the steady growth of esports, it's not just been steady as well, it's been rapid. And from being not even eligible to play in tournaments officially of EA and FIFA, in 2 years' time, we reached sixth in the world. I mean, that's insane, right? And that's happened for FIFA. So whenever someone asks me where's the potential, I show them this is the potential. If in 2 3 years of competing officially we can reach amongst the top 10 countries in the world, then you see the progress that's happening. And of course there are a lot of factors. I can go on and on about this, but I think to answer your question, just tell them like how we are getting there because the number of players are increasing, infrastructure is getting better, and opportunities are increasing, right, for all these young players that are coming up now. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Interesting that you talk about the rankings. Do you see that, maybe FIFA in some ways is also helping people switch towards watching more of football?
I think it's actually the opposite, because we are such, you know, passionate football fans, right? We want to recreate that, especially as a kid. I always wanted to recreate. I remember my favorite United team, the squad, was 2008 when Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez, Giggs, Scholes, everyone was in the team. And FIFA 08, as we call it, FIFA 08 had come out. All I wanted to do was play the manager mode in the game, control all the squad, and keep winning titles. I mean, that's what I wanted to do because I wanted to be Sir Alex Ferguson in a way, right? I think that's the best way you can put it, right? You wanted to recreate that. So that is a byproduct of what happens in real life. Everybody wants to use the likes of Haaland, Mbappe, now Lamine Yamal is going to be in the next game. All these top players are going to be there, right? So, and the best part about it is the women's football, right? Because you keep posting a lot of videos that I see about women's football. That is being very well adjusted. They've adjusted, I wouldn't say the word adjusted, they've actually introduced it and put it in a very good way in the game, as like everyone's using the women cards in the game, which is the most popular mode in FIFA called Ultimate Team. Everyone's been using players like Sam Kerr and Alexia Putellas and all Janssen and all these Hansen, sorry, from Barcelona, right? All these women players are actually being used, and people are recreating that in the game, which of course is great to see. So I think yeah, it's actually the opposite, and it's booming. I think the only way is up because everyone wants to use their favorite players virtually.
And you're also involved in the ISL. There's eISL also simultaneously that happens. So can you also talk a little about, what is exactly happening in that space?
Oh yeah, 100%. So ISL, as everyone knows, it's the national league for India, right? And every club had partnered up with ISL to form eISL 3 years ago now. And I was fortunate enough to play for Kerala Blasters for 2 years. Only last year I did not play well, you can say. I missed out on the opportunity that I had to miss eISL season three. But the last two seasons, like before that, the first two were amazing. I mean, I've never felt so much love and affection from a football fan base because Kerala has the biggest fan base. I'll never stop saying this, that Kerala has my heart specifically because of this. Because I remember we used to win a match, me and my teammate. We used to get like 100 messages. And I wouldn't lie, it felt like I was a real footballer, right? I mean, I was playing on the pitch for Kerala. So, and every time we lost, like, yeah, I got a little stick from it, but from the fans, but they were very supportive. And I remember my best finish was top four in the league from being 10th in the table out of the 11 teams. We finished top four. Crazy journey. I'll never forget it. And the fans went berserk. Like I said, on Instagram, Kerala was so supportive. So that culture of football being introduced in eISL, giving the sports athletes a platform to actually represent a club on the virtual pitch for them is something that's unmatched, I feel. So I think for the coming generation also, it's only going to increase. There are of course ups and downs, but I feel it's the national league. Like you can proudly say that I've been a national champion or I've participated in the national league. Like there's a stamp, right? You're not just some casual player apparently. So yeah, I think it's an amazing feeling.
What are the challenges that the esports industry is facing in terms of maybe infrastructure or, the development in the tech aspect of things?
Yeah, so I think mobile gaming particularly has been booming in India specifically because the numbers are huge. It's like your mobile phone is a multi-purpose device, so you don't need to buy anything like a PS5, for example. When it comes to certain esport titles, you need to have like a PC, which is anywhere between 1 to 2 or anything above 1 to 2 lakhs, right? So you need that infrastructure, otherwise you can't compete in certain titles. So of course that's an hindrance, right? Not everyone can afford a console worth 40-45 grand. So that is the reason why mobile gaming is so popular because it's so accessible, right? Now, if someone has to look at these esport titles seriously to be have a huge impact, like how it's in Europe, for example, specifically for FIFA FC, I think someone has to invest into the grassroots, as I always say. That someone has to give these kids, if they see potential, they need to invest in them and not just think maybe he should just like, play any mobile game if he can't afford a console, right? So I think that's a challenge. Infrastructure, of course, is a challenge, but now with the online, especially after COVID, I feel when it comes to the online gaming, everyone has had like they had bought a console of their own, whoever could, and that's how the online tournament started. So I mean, it's a boom and it's a bane as well if you see it from that perspective. Everything has pros and cons. So the COVID helped the online scene grow. uh, the lack of funds for a common college going student or school going student, for them to afford a 45 grand console, it's tough. So yeah, I think it's just the right mix that's needed, I think, while going forward for certain esport titles.
Yeah, and interesting you talk about grassroots. Are there brands or maybe private companies who are actually investing in grassroots when it comes to esports?
Actually, they are. I think from what I remember, the mobile esports is doing something like this. It's still not there yet when it comes to a game like FC. I mean, I always say this. I've been part of the FC scene in India for the longest time now, and I'm still surprised how nobody has entered this space. I understand their hesitations, their lack of knowledge, as I would say. They're worried about the fact that they'll lose money. I mean, that's always there, right? It's like investing into any business. But I feel the grassroots, a brand, a certain concrete, I have not seen it yet. Like for the kids, especially, like how it's in schools and like young kids are being invited. The age cap is like under 15. There's a FIFA tournament happening for under 15. I mean, who has ever heard that in India? That's not, but it's already happening in Europe and all. That's where the talent comes out. So, yeah, unless you do that, it's very difficult to get a world champion. I mean, unless someone is extraordinarily talented, like how one of the players in India, Charanjot, who reached the top 32 of the World Cup, right? I mean, that's an insane achievement. But how many Charanjots can you produce without the grassroots program? So yeah, I think, yeah, if like this reaches out to the masses, then definitely like brands should get involved. And yeah, do get in touch with me. I mean, I don't know, maybe just guide you, I guess.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there are also federations working in this space. There's ESFI, and the AIFF also is part of organizing the FIFA events. And you have, I'm sure, seen the evolution of all of this also. How do you see the federation playing that role in bringing up new talent?
I think this is where the federation has to get involved now. The problem is that after the split of EA and FIFA after 23 years, it's like AIFF is not part of EA anymore in terms of the national tournaments. Like this season, there was no FIFA World Cup. There was no FIFA E Club World Cup. The two flagship tournaments of FIFA E, as it called, was the FIFA E Nations Cup, the World Cup of all the national teams, and the FIFA E Club World Cup, which was the World Cup of all the clubs coming together. So imagine a Liverpool team, the esports team of Liverpool, right? Manchester City esports, and all these clubs like Atletico Madrid from all around the world. Clubs used to compete. They had like pro players representing them, and they all used to come together to play for a prize pool of $1 million, right? That's insane. So when you see it that way, that split happened. So now AIFF is gonna, of course, has to stick with FIFA because it's part of the member association around the world. So that, I mean, yeah, that split caused a little bit of dysfunctionality in the scene. But when it comes to federations doing nonetheless with whatever they can, right? How ESFI and all these federations that can do is propagate the concept of esports, of grassroots in esports. And if you start building that, if you start putting a little bit of money in there, have more people who are veterans of the scene, right? They can get there, coach the young kids, and have those local tournaments for a world champion to eventually emerge, because it's a long road, right? You can't just focus on one esport title and expect the other ones to just keep going on, because eventually the publishers will see that and they wouldn't want to invest so much of money in prize pools. That eventually decreases a player's aspirations to play for a certain prize pool. If you're giving me 5 grand to win, and if you're giving me 5 million to win, there's a difference, right? I would want to make a career out of it after I win 5 million. I can't do that with $5,000. So
Interesting. You also spoke about the coach side of things, and you've also won that cap recently, right? Can you tell us about what is it coaching like in esports?
it's honestly a lot of fun. It's like me living my dream of being Sir Alex Ferguson on the pitch. Uh, and not exactly, but you get my point, right? When you're teaching someone, like when they're telling you, okay, this is my mistake, this is my mistake. I think I learned it on my own when I went as a coach with the national team. I was a player only. It's like I was a fourth player, but then my interest in coaching grew because I spoke to coaches who were coaching pro players for the longest of times, right? For the past 5, 6 years, I understood how to coach, how to make those tactics on the screen, right? When you have that digital screen in front of you, how you explain everything to the player that this is the mistake that you're making. I think that interested me a lot. And eventually I think next year probably I'll compete one more year, probably a year after that. But after that I'm 100% going to become a coach for sure. Even if I have to do that as a side gig, or if I become a full-time coach for any esports team, doesn't matter. It's just a lot of fun because it's very tactical. It depends upon who you're coaching, and the best part is you got to be unique as a coach because every player that you're coaching is unique. You can't teach them a same style of play like you're teaching 40 kids in a batch of school. You can't be a teacher writing stuff on the blackboard and expect everyone to note it down. It's very unique, which is why I love it because every student gives me a new challenge. So it's been honestly very, very, I would say, fun, challenging, but something that I really love to do.
And how big usually is a team, including the support staff and the players?
I think it's mostly when EA started the 2v2 concept. So it was just two players who were playing, one substitute, and one coach and one team manager. So maximum of 5 people who used to come like for E Nations, for E Club, for example. Throughout EA's last year, the FC championship that happened, they were doing one-on-one tournaments. It's like me playing against you only. So there was like one coach and the player mostly. The coach is the manager of the player as well at the tournament. But yeah, until last year was amazing. Like I said, like one team manager, one coach, 3 players, a whole squad is going, all guns blazing to to try and win the championship. It was amazing. So yeah, I think need that back basically.
Yeah, and of course, you're doing a lot of other things apart from being an esports athlete. So, what is a day like in your life? And normally, what is a day like in an esports athlete's life? How much hours of practice do you guys put in?
Yeah, so I think right now it's off season for me, so I'm able to focus on other things as well. When the new season starts, as soon as the game comes, you have to learn it. Like you have to learn the mechanics, the changes that have the publishers have put in EA in this case. You start playing friendly matches with your fellow competitors. You start to understand the game. You have to put in a lot of grind. So I think if you want to play at the highest level, initially, right, during the initial part of the season, if you want to be a part of all the professional tournaments that are going to happen throughout the year, you have to give at least 6 to 8 hours a day because it's like a full-time job for you. If you want to play the highest tournaments. If you want to play casually from weekend to weekend, like how most of the people with a job do, or like a college do, I think in that case, yeah, it's like 3 4 hours after you come back home. After dinner you just sit with your friends and play till like 12 or 1 in the night. But I would say for a aspiring esports athlete, or for someone who's been doing this for a while, 6 to 8 hours minimum. And then yeah, I think I love to hit the gym, I love to play football, I love to socialize on weekends as well. So I try and keep as balanced as possible. And yeah, I have a company of my own, so I keep working on that here and there. So yeah, of course, like when the season starts, it just gets super busy, and yeah, it just gets very chaotic and hectic too, to be very honest.
Yeah, and 8 hours sitting, and trying to learn a game or playing it. How much? I mean, it's not easy, right? It sounds easy, but I'm sure it takes a toll on the body and the mind also because there's so much of screen time.
Yeah, but then I think the best way is to like split it. So if you don't split the time, it's stupid to sit on a computer like you and I are talking right now in front of our systems, right? If we keep sitting for 6 hours, and we just keep talking, it won't harm you as much because it's a casual conversation. But if you're playing a game, you're learning something, your hands are being involved with the controller like this, your eyes are like glued. If you don't take frequent breaks, it will be a problem for you, right? So that's what people don't understand. They think he's preparing for a tournament but वो बस बैठ के खेल रहा है. मतलब it's not the best way to put it across for someone who doesn't know. So what we usually do is we take breaks after every half an hour, 1 hour, and we take a breather, take our eyes away from the screen, because you need time to process it also. If you've learned something, you need to understand what you've learned, record the game and watch it, and not just keep playing the whole day. So it's not so, I wouldn't say it's so rigid about 8 hours. If you can get the job done that you've set a target, you can do it for 4 5 hours also. But I'd say in general you spread it across 6 to 8 hours. So yeah, I think you can manage that.
Yeah. And apart from all of this, Lokmanyu, you're also a supporter of Manchester United. You're the first guest on this podcast was the United supporter. How are you looking at the new season? What are your expectations from it?
It's surprisingly so that it's coming from a Liverpool fan. I mean, yeah, I never thought. I've never actually done a podcast with a Liverpool fan. I'll be very honest with you. I've been a part of a couple of podcasts, and it's been very nice until they tell me the club that they support. And now that you've said another United fan, yeah, you've already given me that ick. But
No,
no,
I
I
said no.
mean,
Did I say another? I said that you're the first United fan to be on this podcast.
no, you did introduce, like, you did try to cover that up after saying you are another United fan. If
But there
you,
are so many United supporters in India.
yeah, that's true. I mean, that I love. I know United has the biggest fan base in the world, right?
I'll give you guys that.
Yeah, but then if a Liverpool fan says another United fan, you know what I'm saying, right? There's already a rivalry between us. But I'm just kidding. I think it's the fact that, yeah, but I am, although I'm very excited for the season. I genuinely, because I play FPL a lot, right? And the bias, of course, kicks in. I think you and I have spoken about it before this podcast started, that we're so biased. There's only 3 players you can keep from your club. I don't know who I'm going to keep this time because Hoyland is injured for the next 6 weeks. I think he's probably going to miss a couple of games. Our new signing Euro is gone, right? I mean, he's gone for like a few months, couple of months at least. And it's such a bad start for. I mean, yeah, we do have a squad. We're still looking at players, but yeah, I'm confident with the young talents like Kobe Menu and Garnacho and all these players that we have. I do trust them to mature up. Like how Menu is just, he's the breakthrough star from last season. So I feel he's going to do a good job. And I don't see United. I genuinely, as a United fan, I don't see us finishing in the top two. I'll be very, I mean, yeah, any United fan watching this might want to kill me for saying this, but I'm being realistic. I want, I think we can finish top four if we play well, but it's tough with the squad. I mean, City, even as a pool fan, don't you think that it's so tough to match City, right?
Yeah, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Since this is also a Liverpool podcast, what are your expectations of Liverpool from this upcoming season?
Wow, the bias that wants to kick in right now, but I have to behave myself since I'm on a pool podcast.
You can be
Um,
honest, it's okay. I think Liverpool fans are very understanding and nice speed.
if Klopp had stayed, I would say Liverpool was going to challenge for the title. Realistically, I feel Liverpool can finish in the top four. I mean, you guys are a little better off than United, if I have to speak in the footballing sense, because for me, having better ball knowledge is so much more important than being just a blind fan of any club, right? Of course, that I am. United is in my blood, technically, if I have to say it that way. But if you see realistically, I think, yeah, top four is the target for United. Liverpool, of course, would have that under your new manager, but I don't know, like, it's tough to see how it happens. You do have a good squad. It's just that I feel top four is quite realistic. If you compare to like City and Arsenal, they've just been amazing for the past 2 seasons, right? Liverpool has messed up. If you guys mess up again, if you guys mess up the third time in a season, because you were at a very good point, if you remember at the season last year, I think it was around, was it
Yeah,
October, November, right? If I'm not wrong, you
it
threw it
was.
away from there.
It was. It was. It. I think it was after the United game.
Yeah, actually. So yeah, we started it off for you, and I've never been more proud of my team to disrupt everything for Liverpool. But no, realistically, yeah, I understand. Like, I feel Liverpool is in a better position than United. But and the reason why I'm saying this is, even if that's not true, I believe I like to tell myself that it's not true because I want to keep us as underdogs, especially after whatever has happened with our players being injured this year, and of course a lot of mishaps that's happened last season. So I really hope we, I don't know, end up in the top two as a matter of shock to the Premier League world. But yeah, let's hope. I mean, quite excited for the season though. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
And you also
Yeah.
spoke about FPL, which is that one player who, despite being really good, you'll never keep in your team.
Oh my god, I've got so many. So this happened to me. This happened to me, and I will never forgive this man. Ivan Tony, right? This guy from Brentford. My goodness, I had kept him for 3 weeks at the start of last season, if I'm not wrong. He did not do anything. Moment I remove him, he comes back, scored like a couple of braces, right? Even one hat trick in one of the games. I could be wrong about that. Was it last season, last season? But this guy always bugs me. Like, he's the first name that pops up in my mind whenever I make a mistake, because you don't make such kind of mistakes with Haaland, right? You don't make this kind of mistakes with Salah, because if you take them out, you know there's a risk. With Tony, with Callum Wilson, with Isak, like all these strikers that you have, with Darwin Noon, like, okay, I'll never keep, like, no offense to pool fans watching, I'll never keep that guy because he's so random. Like, one game he'll come and
Don't
score
call
a
him
brace.
random. I mean, random is not a good word, but sorry, go ahead.
No, but like, you've seen that, right? In terms of FPL perspective only, like, even if he performs well, he will miss sitters. Liverpool fans know that he's yet to mature as a footballer. I love to talk facts, and he has produced in some games, yes, but he has a lot of potential. But you wouldn't
Yeah.
like be bothered if that player is not in your team. For Tony, I used to be like, throw him away as soon as he doesn't perform, and as soon as I take him out, he scores. Like, hat trick, brace. I mean, why, bro? Like, I always used to wonder why. Then when he went away for 9 months entirely for this whole thing that he got involved, and he was banned to play football, I was like, I mean, no, karma is real, bro. Like, yeah, that's what you get for messing up my FPL.
I mean, okay. I
That's too
mean,
harsh to say,
that,
but no.
that's how you link karma to.
No.
Wow.
I don't. But yeah, I was saying I was relieved. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to be dark on this podcast, but no, I just said that Tony, when he wasn't playing football, it was a relief in a way, because for FPL managers, because he was so good. Like, whenever he used to get going, he was so bloody good. And when he's not performing, he's not performing at all. So you're losing money also, you're wasting points also. When he just went, like, this opened up my mind. So if he comes back, please don't get banned from playing football, and please keep scoring for me if I keep you in my team. That's all I will say for Tony for now. Yeah, that's for sure.
See, let's hope that the new season is good for Liverpool
Mm.
and then respectable for United.
Respectable
That's how
for it. See, this is the problem of football fans. Like, I, as a
I don't
United
know how
fan,
to actually wish you guys. That how do you think am I supposed to wish you technically?
how did I wish? Like, okay, I didn't wish for Liverpool. I was just talking because you asked me, what do you think
Okay,
United?
I don't
Like,
know
what do
how
you
to
think
end this
about
then.
Liverpool?
कि क्या- that's the thing to say, right? Okay, I'm sorry. Like let you get. I mean, let the universe decide how the year pans out for both the
I
teams.
are you just are you just trying to be a nice human being, or are you just trying that plus with the fact that you're a Liverpool fan? Because I don't believe the Liverpool side of things right now.
No, I'm just trying to be a nice human being. What else am I supposed to? I cannot say that, I hope United has a good season. I don't, I mean, how can I wish for that technically?
Obviously, you can't. No, okay, for
Right.
real.
So, I mean,
Like,
to
yeah,
say, so that's the only thing I can say now that you guys have a respectable season. It's a nice
yeah.
thing to say.
But
I
why do
think,
you have to? Why do you have to even wish me for that matter? Like,
I
you
mean,
can wish
because you're
me
a guest on this
personally.
podcast. You're a guest on this podcast. So, I mean, how else am I supposed to end it also?
Yeah. I'd say the best way to end it is me telling you that you're one of the nicest and sweetest pool fans I've met, because I've been into fist fights with pool fans. And we've never had this conversation where you even mention, "Oh, I hope United has a respectable season." They've never said. They have said so much of. Oh my God, they've said so many things, and I've said a
Yeah.
lot of things. So that never
I can say
goes
a lot
well.
of things off the camera also, but it's okay.
I'll tell you one story though. This happened where I was making a FIFA clip. It's actually there on my Instagram as well. There's a goal I've scored with Rashford, and it's an ultimate team where you customize your own team with whatever, right? I didn't have the United jersey available to me. I didn't have, like, I couldn't find it on the market. And I had Liverpool kit, home Liverpool kit in the club. And I had assigned to him. I didn't realize I scored a brilliant goal from Rashford. I put out a story. And if you see a couple of my United friends, they've like, "You sold Rashford to Liverpool, you traitor." I've been abused. I've been doubted on as a United fan. I had to tell them no, it was something which was related to in-game. It was FIFA. It was not real life. I would never do that to my Rashi boy ever. So yeah, I would say yeah, I do keep these things in mind, and it does not go well with Liverpool fans ever. So I'm sure that's the case with you guys, with United fans.
Yeah, I mean, there
Yeah,
are certain things I call them that I've already told you about, but yes, I will
yeah.
not say it on the camera. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast, and hope to have you back here soon again.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. I think I absolutely love listening to your podcast. I think you're inviting a lot of guests. It's great, and keep doing the great work. It was lovely. It's an honor to be on the podcast. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.